An interesting phenomenon that we find by some of the sacrifices, specifically the sin offering and the guilt offering, is that the forgiveness for the sinner who brings the sacrifice is brought about only once the Kohen eats from the flesh of the sacrifice. So it's not enough for the sinner to bring their offering to the temple and for parts of it to be sacrificed on the altar, but the Kohen must actually consume from the flesh to bring about forgiveness for the sinner. And because this is holy work, which it's part of the kapara, the forgiveness for the sinner, it is specifically inside of the temple where the Kohen is to eat it. And they're to wash their hands beforehand, just like they do before they do holy service in the temple. This is specifically for the Kohens who are working in the temple, not for their families, their wives and kids outside of the temple. And it's specifically for that day and the night that follows, until midnight. There are other kinds of sacrifices. So the first kind of sacrifices are called Holy of Holies. There are also other kinds of sacrifices called just Holy. And these can be eaten in the hall of Jerusalem and for the whole family of the Kohen, not just for themselves, also for their wives and kids. And they could eat it for that day, the day that follows, and the night in between. The first mitzvah of today is that the Kohens should partake from the sin offering and the guilt offering on the day when the person brings it to the temple. Another mitzvah that we learned today is that one is not to eat from a sacrifice outside of its specific boundary where it's to be eaten. So we mentioned the sin offering and the guilt offering. That the Kohen shouldn't eat them outside of the temple, and similarly the other sacrifices are the other offerings are specifically within Jerusalem, and one should not partake from them outside of Jerusalem. Another mitzvah that we learned today is regarding the bikurim, the first fruit, which we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, that one would bring to the temple once a year. The first fruit that ripened in Israel, they would bring them to the temple and give them to the Kohens. That a Kohen is not to partake from these fruit before they have been put down in the temple courtyard. So from when they enter Jerusalem until they are brought to the temple courtyard, the Kohen is not to partake from them. Only afterwards is the Kohen to partake from the bikurim, from the first fruit. Thank you for watching.